When the internet began, bulletin board services, or BBS, became the first online communities of the so-called information superhighway. Using their phone lines, people logged in from all over America to talk about sports, games, movies, and on one BBS in particular, share their ghost stories. Over time, those communities all went dark, except for one lone server that continues to operate somewhere in an unknown part of Pennsylvania's Rust Belt. A relic of the 1990s, veiled in mystery, it is a digital archive of humanity's strangest encounters with the unknown, as told by the people who experienced them. My name is Brandon Schexnayder, and you are listening to Fear Daily.
Subject, Semper Fi. User, OneMan22. Posted, June 4th, 1997.
I was 19 and stationed at Pendleton when the quiet started bleeding in. It wasn't something you noticed right away, more like a dull ache in the back of your skull. First, the phone calls from home just stopped. No more check-ins from Mom, no more voicemails from Dad. The answering machine filled up and the mailbox stopped filling at all. At first, I chalked it up to stubbornness. Maybe they were still pissed I enlisted. Maybe the line was down. Maybe they just needed space. But Christmas came and went, and then New Year's, and not even a forwarded card showed up. And that ache, it started to pulse. So I put in for leave, got the slip signed, and no one asked why. I didn't volunteer a reason anyway, but I just packed my duffel, picked up a rental, and old Oldsmobile with a crooked cassette deck and a half tank of gas, and I drove east until the map started looking familiar again. The town I grew up in wasn't on any major route. It was the kind of place where you had to mean to go there. Turn off the main road, past the shuttered truck stop, follow a cracked highway through pine scrub and kudzu-choked ditches. The radio fizzled out somewhere around State Route 25, so I let the silence ride shotgun. Just me, a crumpled Rand McNally Road Atlas, and the buzz of an engine that seemed unsure of the trip. I arrived just before dusk, and it was worse than I could have possibly imagined. The streets were empty. Not just quiet, abandoned. Houses stood with doors half open, like that exhaled their owners and never inhaled again. A flyer drifted across the sidewalk in front of the grocery store. The sign on the laundromat blinked like it still believed someone might come wash their clothes. I slowed down as I passed the church, still standing, steeple cracked, hymnboard faded. It still said Sunday service, 10 a.m. When I pulled up to my parents' place, the porch light was on. The screen door creaked the way it always had, like it was warning me, and inside, the house looked lived in, but not by anyone alive. 2 mugs were on the table, a crossword half filled out in Mom's neat handwriting, the TV remote balanced on the arm of the couch like it had just slipped from Dad's hand. No signs of struggle, no mess, just nothing. It didn't take long to realize the whole town was like that. Lights still burning, doors still unlocked, but no one, no bodies, no blood, no explanation, just a lingering stillness. I walked block after block, calling out names I hadn't said in years, listening to the echo, but Even the echo sounded tired. At the edge of town, I found the sheriff's station. Inside, there was a faint buzz from a lamp still plugged in, and the reek of spoiled coffee. Someone had left a dispatch log wide open. The last few entries were frantic. No response, but breathing. They just stand there. Water, air. On the back of the page, someone had scrawled in pencil, "If you see this, get out. Don't drink. Don't stay." That night, I slept in my old bed. Same mattress, same blanket with the burn hole from when I fell asleep holding a sparkler in 8th grade. The room looked frozen in amber. The posters on the wall hadn't faded much, and the stereo still had that old Pearl Jam tape jammed in the deck. But nothing felt familiar. It was like walking through a memory someone else was having. In the morning, I drove out toward the county line. I passed the maintenance depot, and there was a pile of half-buried signs strewn near the fence. Boil order, county health notice, unsafe conditions. One in particular caught my eye. Faded red paint on a hand-carved plank. I had to get out and brush dirt off to read it. Welcome to Stillwater. I just stood there, hand on the wood, feeling the shape of that name like it was the punchline to a joke no one wanted to tell. I hadn't spoken the name out loud since I'd left, hadn't dared to until that moment, but there it was, sun-bleached and weather-warped, like the place had been waiting for me to say it. I drove until I found a rest stop with a bathroom, washed my face in the cracked porcelain sink, stared at myself in the mirror. Somehow, I looked older. Not in the way boot camp ages a guy, different, like something inside me had been peeled back. That's when the cough came. Dry at first, barely more than a tickle, but it echoed louder than it should have in that tiled room. I wiped my mouth, swallowed hard, told myself it was the cold air, maybe the dust, maybe. I got back in the car, turned the key, and the engine groaned before catching. The cassette clicked and started playing again, just static now, the tape long worn out. I didn't turn it off. I just drove.
Subject: No escape from Cypress shores. User: XRun3RX. Posted July 17, 1996.
I left Cypress shores with a duffel bag, a hangover, and a gnawing feeling in my gut that whatever had crawled out of that office building wasn't going to stay behind. For a while, I tried to drown it. A cheap whiskey, warm beer, whatever would fuzz the edges. You ever try to outdrink your own shadow? I did, and guess what? It didn't work. You don't forget the sound of your own voice coming from nowhere. You don't forget shadows that slither without light. I thought distance might help, thought maybe if I put enough miles between me and that place, the thing would get bored, or maybe latch on to some other poor bastard. But look, I was wrong. You can't outrun something that already lives inside your head. I ended up in Pascagoula, Mississippi, Got a job working nights at this piss-yellow motel off the highway, the kind of place that smells like old cigarettes and wet linoleum, where half the rooms are monthly rentals for folks with nowhere else to go. My job was to clean up messes and keep the lights on until sunrise. They say the South has a way of holding on to things. Heat, hurt, ghosts. I don't know if it was just me breaking down from the inside or if that thing from Cypress Shores had hitched a ride, but the weird shit started almost immediately. First night, this woman in room 3 comes stomping up to the front desk, barefoot and pissed off, wearing a nightgown that probably used to be white. "You got something hiding in the walls?" she asked. I told her no, of course not. "Well, somebody said my name," she said, real low, like a whisper. Then they laughed. "You sure it wasn't the TV?" I asked, dumbly. "TV's unplugged," she said, and then walked off cussing. That night, I sat on the cracked vinyl couch behind the check-in desk, watching the static from the front security monitor. The hallway camera from room 8 kept blinking, glitching like it was underwater. At 2:13 a.m., I heard a voice from the speaker, faint, like it's coming from deep down a well. "Hello again." Same tone, same cadence, my voice. I knew it all too well. I ripped the power cord out of the wall and slept in my car with a tire iron across my lap. Next few days, tried to play it off. Tell myself I'm just a little shook up, nerves frayed from all that happened, but something's wrong in this place too. Lights buzzed when I walked by. Faucets dripped blood-brown water for a second before turning clear. I kept seeing movements out of the corner of my eye, and always, just out of frame, the edge of a shadow that didn't quite belong. I tried drinking again, but that was a mistake. Brought it all roaring back, voices echoing in the bottom of the bottle, that same thick, swampy stink from the stairwell back at the old job, rising up through the drain in the mop sink. I blacked out one night and woke up in the manager's office with "Run" carved into my forearm. I don't remember doing it. I don't remember much of anything, but I sobered up real fast after that. About a week later, a guy in room 8 disappeared. Not checked out, no car, just gone. Place reeked like mold when I opened the door, bed untouched, TV still on, just static, flickering like it's breathing. I stepped in and noticed the carpet was damp underfoot. I followed the trail back toward the bathroom. Moldy towels piled in the tub. Grime smeared on the mirror like fingerprints, and on the wall, just above the toilet tank, scrawled in a brownish-black crust, "You let it out." I slammed the door and threw up in the sink behind the desk. The motel owner didn't care. He says the guy probably skipped on rent and told me to clean the room when I get a chance. Well, I didn't. I taped it off with yellow caution tape I found under the stairs and just didn't go near it again. But the motel did something strange after that. It started to sweat. Now, I don't mean metaphorically. I mean the walls would get damp. Wallpaper peeling like scabs. The air got thick, like the whole place was exhaling warm, sour breath, and it was much, much worse at night. I swear the floorboards were pulsing like something was crawling just beneath the surface. And then 2 nights ago, I went to turn down the AC in the utility room, and I caught my reflection in the breaker panel's chrome, only I wasn't moving. My reflection was just standing there, staring back at me with a crooked smile. I don't smile like that. I backed away slowly, but the reflection was there until I finally blinked, and then it was gone. Last night, I was fixing a leaky pipe behind the soda machine in the lobby. It was around midnight, and I heard the TV and roommate click on. I checked the monitors, and the room was empty, but the screen was glowing blue, static flickering. I grabbed my keys, cursed myself the whole walk over, and opened the door, and there, sitting on the bed, was a figure. Not a man, and not really at least, just a shadow with eyes like coals, glowing faint red, the room stinking of mildew and burnt hair. "You should have stayed gone," it said. I slammed the door, backpedaled into the hallway, and tripped over the damn wet floor sign I left out hours ago. It hit my head on the wall and blacked out. When I came to this morning, sunlight leaked in through the dusty blinds, and the building was still and silent, like nothing ever happened. No TV noise, no shadow man, nothing, but I know better. Whatever was in that office building is here too. Or maybe it was never about that building in the first place. Maybe it was about me. Maybe when you see certain things, hear certain voices, something in you opens up and it don't close back right. I'm going to try to make it to Mobile tonight. Just drive. Maybe find a diner that needs a dishwasher or a truck stop that'll pay cash. But between you and me, I don't think it's going to matter much where I go, because last night, when I looked in the mirror, my reflection whispered something. It said, "Next time, let me drive."
Fear Daily is an independent podcast hosted by Brandon Schexnayder and written by Brennan Storr, with Joanna Smith serving as the consulting editor, audio production by Rachel Boyd, and sound design by Southern Gothic Media. This podcast is a work of fiction. Names, characters, places, and incidents are either products of the author's imagination or are used fictitiously. Any resemblance to actual persons, living or dead, or to real events or locations, is entirely coincidental. Ad-free versions of Fear Daily are available now on your favorite podcast apps. For more information, visit feardaily.com. But move fast, before the server goes offline.